Hey, it's Mike of Religion Dystopia. We're going to do more reading out of Adventures Beyond the Body, How to Experience Out-of-Body Travel by William Pullman. And we're going to get into this, Chapter 5, Developing Your Natural Ability. We're going to get into a little bit of some names that aren't very good. Dale Carnegie and T.H. Huxley. Yeah, he definitely. William was influenced by a lot of theosophists and New Agers. Saying that doesn't mean we can't learn something. Just forewarn you. There's a lot. There's a very dark side to New Age religion and New Age philosophy. Very sinister side that you're not allowed to bring up, or you're called you're negative, low vibe. Anyways, developing your natural ability. Sit down before fact like a little child. Be prepared to give up every perceived notion. Follow humbly wherever and to whatever abyss nature leads. Notice abyss. Or you will learn nothing. T.H. Huxley. There's a lot of truth to that. When we develop, quote unquote, the light, some people say the Spirit of God, you know what, the Holy Spirit, the spirit of inquiry, of being able to see there's something wrong. When we pierce into the darkness, you'll see quite a bit of darkness all around you. Keep your mind open to change all the time. Welcome it, court it. It is only by examining and re-examining your opinions and ideas that you can progress. Dale Carnegie, who, as far as a moral man goes, I would have to say, not really. Although a lot of people said that their lives were changed by him, but they had to compromise themselves so much to have that change that it wasn't really worth it in the end. This self-centeredness, materialistic endeavors. Yeah. Think and Grow Rich. Was it something Peel? Whatever his name is. I should know. Or I can't remember. Is it Norman Vincent Peale? Is that what it is? Something like that. Anyways, I read his books. Well, how long has it been now? Nearly 20 years ago. Caused me a lot of damage in the end. In the beginning, I got a lot of stuff out of it. Things I wanted. But they would never tell you about the backside of things. Just forewarn you. Reappraising our concepts of reality. Many psychological issues affect our ability to have an out-of-body experience. Our self-concept and the way we view this subject have a tremendous influence on the results we obtain. It's quite common for personal limits, fears, and beliefs to inhibit our ability to experience and enjoy our full potential. This is especially true when we are embarking upon a new form of exploration. Yeah. Got to make sure, always blame you if it doesn't work out. Just remember that. It's the same in every other cult. Self-evaluation. In the table below, briefly reviews topics and issues that may influence your ability to have an out-of-body experience. Your responses can offer useful insights into your personal beliefs, assumptions, and conclusions concerning this unique form of exploration. and objectively as possible. Examine your emotional and intellectual response to each question. If you discover an area that holds a potential limitation or conflict, take your time and delve into it. Look for the underlying reason for your current beliefs. Belief reappraisal is one of the most important aspects of out-of-body preparation, and also just life in general, I would say. I have found that conscious and subconscious fears, limits, and misconceptions are the most common obstacles we confront in our out-of-body exploration. Recognition of our personal limits and fears is a major step forward in reducing or eliminating any blocks we may experience. Take all the time you need and feel free to expand upon any subject you believe is relevant. I recommend that you write your responses in as much detail as needed. Self-evaluation, self-concept. What do you believe you are? How do you view yourselves? Describe your self-concept in detail. Obviously, I'll be here all day if I write all these things down, right? Although it would be a very interesting topic of discussion with people. Or not just this one, but this bullet list of them. Personal viewpoints. What are your perceptions and feelings concerning out-of-body experiences? Do you consider them an adventure? Motivations. Is your personal motivation to obtain answers, to solve a mystery or a problem? Is it curiosity? Is it to obtain personal verification of some kind? Be specific. Safety. Do you feel that it is completely safe to have an out-of-body experience? Do you have any concerns such as that you might become lost or die? Be specific. Special ability or talent. Do you believe that some kind of special ability or talent is required to have an out-of-body experience? Importance. Do you consider this exploration important to your personal development? On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it? Desire. Do you possess the inner desire and drive to follow through? What benefits or information do you want from this experience? How strong is your desire? You know, one of the things about this, if I am correct about my observations, that the spirit realm is observing what we're doing. If we write this all down, we just give them more ammo to deceive us. I don't know. That's just a good thing. Commitment. Are you willing to devote the time and effort needed to achieve your goal? Are you willing to commit 30 minutes a day for a month? That's a lot. Fears. Are you anxious or fearful about this kind of exploration? Do you fear the unknown, the dark, or new challenges? Are your fears logical or the result of a lack of information? Religious beliefs. How does out-of-body exploration fit into your religious beliefs and concepts? Do you consider this a spiritual experience? 11. Degree of difficulty. Do you believe that this experience is natural and easy or difficult to achieve? Why do you feel this way? Well, at least he's not going to stop at 13, so that's good news. 12. Confidence. Are you confident that you can achieve your desired goals? 13. Expectations. Do you expect positive results? What are your personal expectations? 14. Personal issues or limits. Are you aware of any personal issues that may limit your ability to have an out-of-body experience? If so, write them down. 15. Goals. Have you made this exploration a firm personal goal? Is it a written goal? Is it an important goal? Is it a priority? Many subjects covered in this self-evaluation do not require an explanation. A few areas, thoughts may need further clarification. Commitment or goals. Your positive attitude, of course, thinking we're rich, towards and commitment to out-of-body exploration are essential to your success. If you pursue this exploration with half-hearted interest, your results will reflect your desire. On the other hand, if you are passionate and determined and committed, your success is practically assured. It is important to make this exploration a personal priority for a specific time. In my workshops, I recommend a minimum of 30 days total commitment. And I imagine they pay, or still probably do, pay him a hefty price to be told that. In my workshops, I recommend a minimum of 30 days total commitment. I instruct each student to set aside the time necessary to do at least one out-of-body technique daily. For 30 days, focus as much mental and emotional energy as you can muster upon your goal of a conscious out-of-body experience. For many people, writing out the goal daily helps to crystallize it within their minds and emphasizes its importance. For example, before bed each night, write 30 times, "Now I have an out-of-body experience." "Now I have a fully conscious out-of-body experience." Or now I'm out of body. When you make this exploration a personal priority, incorporate written goals, the intensity of your commitment is magnified. In effect, you begin an almost mystical chain of events. Your inner commitment and desire begin to mold your subconscious mind. Often your dreams become more memorable and increasingly lucid. This is, I have been definitely, since I've been focusing on this stuff and reading this stuff, my dreams have, and none of them are really that good, to be honest with you. Some of them are pretty violent. Dreams I never even knew. I don't even know where some of these dreams come from. They say it's from your subconscious, but jeez, are they really? Or is something else offered it up to me on a plastic platter? I have no idea. And I doubt very much that this guy does as well. But there's important stuff in here to be learned anyways. In effect, you begin to almost mystical change of events, and your inner commitment and desire begin to mold your subconscious mind. Often your dreams become more memorable and increasingly lucid. Dreams involving movement and such as flying are often reported. These dreams are an indication that your subconscious mind is responding to your commitment to an out-of-body experience. These dreams and the inner signals associated with them are often an effective springboard to a fully conscious experience. Write your goals today and make a firm personal commitment to follow through. The problem is, Just problems. Anyways, I gotta try to stay positive with this stuff. There's some great insights so far we've learned, right? So I gotta stay positive. Written goals, although this chapter just doesn't seem so far to be that way, but in a class I recently conducted, a woman asked me what single event experience had most influenced my ability to have an out-of-body experiences. After some thought, I realized that more than any other thing, my decision to make a written list of personal spiritual goals had a dramatic effect. For example, I easily separate from my physical body, and I now experience my higher self. As strange as this may sound, committing my goals to paper had a powerful effect on the results I experienced. And there's a lot of truth to this, regardless if you want to go to do this outer body experience. The Legos, the Theos, the Word of God, the Word is within you. It's words, the powers, the spelling, the power of words that have made the great buildings and the highways and the planes and everything else that we've done. You have to write it down. But to write a book, you have to write it down one way or the other. They say that there's the typing that many people are doing, but they also say that there's even a more powerful way to truly manifest, in which you actually physically write it. And a lot of us are losing that skill through the internet. I, for one, have lost it a long time ago, if I ever did even have it. I think I had it as a child, but then time, life got in the way, right? Writing became term papers, and then a burden. Diaries became mundane, and either to make it interesting, I had to embellish, exaggerate. Maybe I should have. Maybe that would have made my life more interesting at the end of the day. Fake it till you make it type of thing, huh? It seems to be a principle in this world, for better or worse. I think in the end it might just be for worse, but in the beginning it certainly does make things a little bit more interesting and better, at least it's the perception. After some thought I realized more, blah 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 blah. For example, I easily separate my, as strange as this may sound, committing my goals to paper had a powerful effect on the results I experienced. During each out-of-body experience, my personal goals seemed to flash in my mind at just the right moment for me to act on them. As I progressed, my goals evolved. Often after returning from out-of-body ventures, I would write my experience and realize that now I had several more goals and questions. It's as if each experience compounded itself. This happens in all things in life, it turns out. The power of setting firm written goals is evident. They focus our thoughts and brought conscious and subconscious. Both conscious and self-conscious. All things physical and non-physical begin as a thought, and the more specific our thoughts, the greater the probability of their manifestation. During the first seconds of out-of-body experience, our thoughts are critical to the immediate results we experience. It's quite common for our first focused thought to propel us into a non-physical environment or a situation that is directly related to that thought. Specific written goals create a strong imprint on the subconscious mind and are more likely to be implemented by our non-physical state of consciousness. If they are used properly, it's possible to program our out-of-body adventures towards a specific purpose or goal. The importance of this should not be overlooked. It is the first step to effective conscious control of the out-of-body state. This is the underlying reason why affirmations and visualizations are so effective. And it's true, and this is something that all people who do become quote-unquote successful in the world is do this. Regardless, you want to go into out-of-body, have an out-of-body experience, or something else. And it's just it's well documented. So writing things down does affect our subconscious, and I believe probably more than it has all the images that we see in the on the computer. That's why I don't spend a lot of time with images, video images. You know what I mean? Animation and all that kind of stuff, because I know it implants a lot of false images. You know, the image we're looking at right here is an artist's rendering. It's not something real. That thing will, any one of us that looks at that image at some point will remember that image again, some point in our lives, for better or worse. And it's a great example of the fact of how our subconscious and conscious works, and how visualizing things, seeing things, truly does affect us more strongly than we want to admit. Especially if it's new. Fears and limits are something that is connected to our physiobiological meat suits. So, for instance, looking at a hot naked chick, there's a good chance, if it's the right one, that it can be implanted in your brain for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? That's why it's really important to try to capture our thoughts, as they say. And it all depends on what you're after in life, and where you're at in your life too. Like for me, I'm at a point in my life where the goals that used to have 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago for sure, the 30 years for sure, yeah, pretty much. After this past decade, I'm pretty disinterested in what this world has to offer me, period. Now, saying that doesn't mean not to keep on exploring and peering into the darkness, into the void, into the vastness of what's around us. But, you know, it's, I just lost my train of thought. Anyways, it's very important to obviously to keep learning, right? If you don't, then you know, especially in our sedentary lives, you know, there's not much meaning in life. So I hate to sound so negative. Maybe because I'm so damn tired, but I'm gonna keep pushing anyways. Sometimes, you know, you're just so tired, you know what I mean? But you just, I could easily sleep the rest of this day, but I don't want to. Don't want to lose my whole day. I think this past week has really tired me. And yesterday really tired. Past, say, 72 hours, it tired me. Up too much. Didn't get enough sleep. And maybe only got 8 hours sleep. And that's why I'm tired, you know. Although it was worth it, you know, for the experiences and interacting with people. They truly do value it. I did enjoy hanging out with Patrina and Jeff and Chris, and is that all it was there actually? And everybody else in the chat. Yeah, it was nice to see everyone. So, fears and limits. Now, you know, even if you didn't, like, once again, if you didn't want to actually do out-of-body experience, everything you hear, commitment and goals, written goals, this is all come straight out of Vincent Peale. Think and Grow Rich. The power of a positive mind, or whatever the heck that, I can't remember. I can't remember now. I threw them all out when I had those weird spiritual battles back in 2017. I threw out anything that was even potentially occultic. This stuff is potentially occultic, but I think I have a better handle on things about my relationship with God and Jesus. So, saying that, I know it's a lot. I just forewarn you, there's a lot of New Age nonsense in there, and it will lead you in problems. It will lead you in problems, because this is very selfish in a lot of ways. It's not necessarily wrong. It just, you have to be honest about how self-centered it is. So, this whole, many of the things in our lives, and definitely New Age movement is 100% selfishness. Love bombing people is not. It's just, I guarantee it's ruined a hell of a lot of people. Just like that same love bombing you find in organized religion and in churches, and the same thing. As long as you go along with the crowd and the gurus and the high priest or whatever temple you're going in, you're loved and beloved. As long as you give what they want, give them what they want, and then you're loved and beloved. But the moment you start asking questions, if you guys, most of you are listening to me now, don't know anything about me or who I was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, just as I don't know you. But believe me, I was hardcore in a lot of things. I really fought big time against the power structure to wake people up. And it's funny, when you really serve the Creator God, you wonder at times if He's paying attention, and you're not going to be rewarded by anything in this world. It's just not. Other people are going to get all of it. They're going to listen to you, and they're going to get it. And I guess that's part of the gig, and I think I should be grateful for that, I guess. Now I think about that. Thanks, Heavenly Father. You saved me all that burden to be in the center of the stage, and I helped other people. All right, that's the way it goes. It kind of gives me a little more positive outlook on things. Anyways, fears and limits. Fears and limits exert an amazing control over our lives. Personal beliefs and limits and fears create invisible walls of anxiety around us. These feelings of anxiety manifest themselves as the limits we experience in our daily lives. Fears and anxiety and the resulting limits are the number one obstacle to success that we must face. This is total Norman Vincent Peale stuff. You've read all this stuff. Each day we are confronted with decisions and choices that we must act upon. These decisions determine the course of our lives and the results we experience. If you look at the lives of successful people, this is totally, oh God. Dale Carnegie, Think and Grow Rich, and Peele's work, all of them had to confront and overcome their fears and limitations to reach their desired goals. Examples are the introverted actors, musicians, and public speakers who have conquered their intense stage fright. Pilots who were once afraid of heights, and even a child who fears the dark. Each fear and anxiety in our lives is a personal obstacle for us to overcome. A personal barrier is separating us from our desired goals. Life itself can be viewed as a series of challenges and obstacles we must eventually confront and overcome. How we react to each challenge will determine the personal accomplishments we experience during our lives. The fears and limits of our physical lives will many times affect our out-of-body explorations as well. In effect, our fears will manifest as non-physical walls and barriers that restrict our freedom and mobility. For example, during the third day, there you go, this is number 3, of my out-of-body exploration, let's try this again, of my third year of my out-of-body, I was saying that's a long time in out-of-body exploration. For example, during the third year of my out-of-body explorations, I experienced a large, heavy object pressing down on me immediately after separation. I perceived the object to be an ornate gold leaf mirror. It was so massive that I was pinned under its crushing weight. I began to push against the mirror with all my strength, trying again and again to remove it. An intense despair flowed through me as the weight of the mirror continued to crush me. In desperation, I focused all my attention and all my energy and strength on moving this pressing weight and screamed out, "Jesus, help me!" No, it doesn't say that. It says, "I have the power." Instantly, I felt a surge of strength and easily lifted the mirror and tossed it out to the side. Now, I wonder what would happen if you said, "Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus, help me. I have the power through God." I wonder what would happen then. But you never hear any of that stuff, do you? Nobody ever says that. Nobody even talks about that. The dreaded name, the dreaded word, Jesus. It drives everyone insane. At that moment, I experienced a powerful new sensation of freedom and mobility. I was as light as a feather and able to go wherever I pleased. For the first time in my life, I felt completely free and completely in control, and I was able to move and perceive and comprehend at an accelerated rate. I somehow knew that I had opened the door to new levels of personal possibility and growth. Each fear and limit we experience is an opportunity for us to learn and grow. Our recognition of this can assist us in confronting each new challenge. As surprising as it may sound, you don't have to believe in out-of-body experiences to have one. Countless individuals worldwide have reported spontaneous out-of-body experiences. Most of these people possessed no previous knowledge of or belief in out-of-body travel. Yeah, when I was a child and I was doing that, I didn't even know what I was doing. So I just thought it was just a very vivid and memorable dream. Or dreams, plural. Several books are currently available by Raymond Moody and other authors detailing such new near-death and out-of-body experiences and their dramatic results. Over 20 years ago, when I first heard of this strange phenomena, I didn't believe out-of-body experiences really existed. I had concluded that so-called out-of-body travel was probably a weird hoax, a drug-induced experience, or some kind of extremely lucid dream. That's maybe where I'm at, is that latter part. Out of half-hearted curiosity, I decided to investigate these strange reports for myself. Looking back, I realized that belief was unnecessary. Instead, curiosity was my greatest asset when investigating this unique form of exploration. And I remember when I first started looking into Bigfoot, I didn't believe it one bit, and I went out to try to disprove it. Only to find out 6 months later, seeing the damn thing. So, my thinking is, by investigating this, either it's going to end up happening or it's not going to end up happening. And then I'm okay either way. And if it happens, ends up happening, then that's one more bit of knowledge, of true knowledge. Not just belief, but knowing something. And I value that. I do. Physical conditioning and indoctrination. Since birth, each of us has received the most extensive conditioning that our society and culture can muster. Now, when I said I value that, and people, I can just visualize people saying, duh, who doesn't? But you know what? It needs to be said. So I speak for everyone, even though no one asked me to. And it's true about indoctrination of our society and culture. The brainwashing is terrible. He's being polite by saying conditioning. We have been conditioned to accept the assumption that we are physical creatures, mammals with a mind. This physical indoctrination is largely the result of a single undisputed conclusion passed down generation after generation since we experience and observe ourselves as physical beings. It is only natural to conclude that we are out of bodies. We are our bodies, not out of bodies. Based on physical perceptions, this appears to be a rational conclusion. What else could we be? As we grow, we are repeatedly told that we are physical creatures. Every day of our lives, this conclusion is reinforced by family, friends, and mass media and society in general, which would be very dissipating if it turned out to be true. I mean, if it was such a wonderful thing to be living that way, why do we spend so much time hiding that physical creature, that meat suit, with clothes and costumes and head dressings and all sorts of things? You ever thought about that? Even tattoos. Why do we hide it? It's because we're not so happy about it, are we? That's another topic altogether. And it's not just based on the fact, when you're younger and you're comparing yourself and others and to why is, I'm never going to find a mate and I'm not attractive and all. That's not what I'm talking about. There's much deeper things going on than just that. Right. Based on physical concepts, it appears to be the rational conclusion. What else could we be, right? As we grow, we are repeatedly told that we are the physical creatures. Every day of our lives, this conclusion is reinforced by family, friends, and mass media and society in general. Eventually, we are taught a few non-physical concepts, usually in the form of religious beliefs. This is true. These non-physical concepts are normally passed to us in a very ambiguous manner. That I disagree. Not ambiguous. Most religions teach that, you got to be politically correct though. Most religions teach that we possess a soul or spirit of some kind and an invisible, indescribable form of energy. We are told to believe this mysterious concept without question, but are offered nothing as evidence. No facts, no logic. We are told to have faith, for the answers are in God's hands. Many religious leaders would have us believe that we are practically powerless to obtain the answers to the mysteries of our existence and of our life. And I would agree with that too. And if I'm telling you something, you're going to find that a lot of these people have these out-of-body experiences, just like religious experiences, just like other experiences. We operated from the get-go on biases and distorted beliefs, not well thought out beliefs. And what I've seen is so far is there's an awful lot of people who say they come back from an out-of-body experience or these near-death experiences or these spiritual experiences or the Holy Spirit, and they come back all cocky and arrogant, so full, full of it, right? Full of it. You got it all figured out. And and it happened to me too, by the way. So that's when I feel confident about saying it and don't feel bad about saying it. And so you come back later with the life experience and reading and studying and everything else, and you realize the things that you thought that the Holy Ghost, at least for me, 10 years ago, 6 years ago, whatever, I was wrong. And that's I believe part of the straight and narrow path is honesty and getting right and saying, yep, I was wrong. In fact, you'll discover real fast that you're wrong more times than you ever were right. And I guarantee you that most of those people who came back from a near-death experience, when you listen to them intently and honestly, they don't have much to say. There's no great new information passed on to us. Hardly any. Now, if you're a little child, maybe when you're 10 years old, or maybe in the teens, it might be you had an average or below average intellect, it might mean something. But it doesn't mean very much to most people who have been around for half a century. When I say new information, I'm not how to rephrase it, because it does mean something. The out-of-body experiences, the near-death experiences mean an awful lot to me. The experience itself and the notion that there's something after this life, and the certain validations about the fact there's something after this life. What I'm saying is the information that they supposedly acquire from going into the other side and coming back is pretty much useless for the average person outside of themselves. This is just an honest observation on my part. I'm not trying to be mean, and this is true. And being honest about these things, I notice a lot of these New Agers and these ultra, fundamentalists and extremists, even myself when I was really into that, snared into that. It's hard to accept, to hear that. So I have a lot of empathy and compassion for them as well. I really don't. And I would love, I'm sure there's someone right now, someday was going to hear something like this from me, because it's happened before, and they're going to go, oh, Mike, I believe you knew what you were talking about. Oh, how I'd like to tell you the truth. And then some of them have enough strength and bravery to actually do it. And it's literally within sentences, not even minutes, just a few sentences. They demonstrate they don't know what they're talking about. And then it turns into, instead of me learning anything, me demonstrating half an hour, 2 hours of my life of compassion and empathy and generosity, and right. In other words, I entertain them. Come back. Did I feel like I gained anything from it? No. Nothing. For the most part, it's the damnedest thing, life. Should I be more positive? Maybe. Do people have a good reason, if somebody finds offensive how I'm speaking? Probably. Let's clear through this. So, and a result of the massive double indoctrination. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Let's get back here. These 9 physical concepts are normally passed to us in a very ambiguous manner. It's okay with the religion. We are told to believe this mysterious concept without question, but are offered nothing as evidence, no facts, no logic. This is true. We are told to have faith, for the answers are in God's hands. That's because that's God, I'm gonna have a hard time getting past this freaking paragraph. It's in God's hands. Of course that is. That's what the priest craft, and that's what the guru does, and it passes the buck when they really don't have an answer themselves. Just to let you know that. If you didn't figure it out. If you haven't figured it out. Many religious leaders would have us believe that we are practically powerless to obtain the answers and the mysteries of our existence and our life. We can achieve that. We can do the best we can, and you know what I mean? And share it to the next person. I think it might be one of the things about AI that might be good, potentially, and that is the collective knowledge of everyone would eventually bring down, if it's used properly, and this is going to be the big if, for the next generation, maybe three generations down the road, they'll have a clearer picture, a clearer understanding of the whole picture, the big picture. All right? That's the hope. And then there's some kind of change for the benefit and better for everyone else. But what tends to happen is same old, so who knows? All you can do is try. The end result is a massive double indoctrination. First, we are taught that we are mammals with a mind, and then we are taught that we are powerless creatures of God, unable to obtain answers for ourselves. I don't think that obtaining answers for ourselves negates or checkmates the first. It doesn't checkmate the first, that we are mammals with a mind, or that we are powerless creatures of God. We are those things. And yes, we can learn new things. But to say this, now we're getting into New Age nonsense. It's going to be very difficult to get through this chapter. Anyway, so I'm going to do my best. Okay, there is only one problem with these conclusions. They are built entirely upon the limited range of our physical senses. So we add upon those understandings with another dimension to us, our non-physical attributes and abilities, right? They're just adding upon it, developing a clearer perspective of us being a multi-dimensional beings in ourselves. With it. Wow. These are only, as any physicist will tell you, we see only a tiny fraction of the energy around us. Basing our entire concept of reality on physical perception alone is a formula destined to create incomplete conclusions, not only about ourselves but also about everything around us. A classic example is the early perception that the Earth was the center of the universe. For thousands of years it was observed that it was obvious to everyone that the sun revolved around the Earth. In more recent times, we are taught in science that the atom was constructed of tiny particles spinning in harmony around a solid, stable nucleus. Today, according to quantum mechanics, this neat, orderly picture of subatomic reality is incorrect and incomplete. Well, if that's the case, they were still teaching me this stuff in college back in the 1990s. Yeah, imagine that. One of the current, which I don't think that he knows what he's talking about much when it comes to some of this stuff, but that's okay. One of the current universal conclusions taught in the schools around the world is the scientific assumption that the biological brain is the organ of consciousness. Medical science concluded long ago that the brain is the obvious source of all consciousness. What else could it be? Yet today, tens of millions of out-of-body and near-death experiences provide clear evidence that our state of consciousness continues even when we are separated from our physical body. I'm trying very hard to read this without stopping every 5 minutes. And every time I read a line, I just want to stop and say, what? Okay. Yes, but that's the thing. It's like you can learn so much from individuals, and you don't have to agree with everything. And a lot of times you have to go through. I'm sure people have to do it with me as well, right? We all have to do it. There's going to be blocks of information that you hear from your acquaintances and friends and family that you just scratch your head and go, I don't buy into that crap, but this stuff I can dig, but that part I can't. And it's all right. You don't have to be a blind sheeple to accept everything that somebody says. Right? The first step is breaking free from our physical conditioning. From our physical conditioning is to recognize it exists. That's right. We are all indoctrinated. We're all brainwashed, and we're all under mind control. And this is true. Every one of us. Every one of us. From now on, begin to pay attention to the many assumptions and conclusions that make up our life. Notice all the subtle things that are built in our society and everyday life. For example, listen for all the statements referring to you and those around you as physical creatures. My hair, my skin, my arms, my legs. Oh yes, especially the social justice warriors, they want to throw that one at us. This may sound trivial, but we hear these kinds of statements countless times every day, especially if you listen to the radio or the television or news. Unless you find someone that's worth, spending. If you find information that, we'll talk about it another day. It is proven that when suggestions are repeated daily over a period of time, they will generate an extremely effective conditioning of our minds. Television. Tell us what to see. Mind controllers. Every year, millions of people are conditioned by hypnotic suggestions to alter their daily habits and behavior patterns, often in 1 or 2 sessions. For decades, suggestions have been used successfully to stop smoking and alter eating habits. If the human mind can be conditioned in 1 hour to change a lifelong habit such as smoking and overeating, just imagine how powerful a lifetime of social conditioning can be. In effect, the constant reference to us as physical creatures molds our self-image. To accept this assumption as reality. This is especially powerful when modern scientific and medical experts repeatedly reinforce the same assumptions. Boy, we saw that in the past 3 years, haven't we? The result is clear. We accept a self-image that we are indeed physical creatures. This is without a doubt the greatest single falsehood dominating our species. And, well, you know what? If we got rid of mirrors, and if we got rid of eating and pooping and need to take baths, we might forget about it. Right? And disease and death. Let's just forget about it, right? The result is clear. I know he's not saying that, but he might be kind of saying it. The result is clear. We accept the self-image that we are indeed physical creatures. This is, without a doubt, the greatest single falsehood dominating our species. In truth, the physical body is simply a temporary biological vehicle that we are using for expression in a dense environment. This is the primary reason that millions of people who have had near-death or out-of-body experiences are so profoundly changed by their experience. Often, for the first time, they personally discover, not believe or hope, that they are spiritual beings inhabiting a temporary physical body. That would be the most important bit of information, knowledge out of all this, right? To go from believing to knowing. It'd be a very powerful bit of knowledge to truly know. Not just believe. This is a powerful, life-changing realization that is difficult to convey with words alone. Just think for a moment of your entire life self-concept being radically and instantaneously changed forever. Many people don't talk about such experiences. at all because they simply go far beyond current physical concepts of reality. I believe that the underlying purpose of near-death and out-of-body experiences is to give each of us a personal glimpse into our spiritual nature. Only by experiencing our non-physical spiritual self can we completely overcome the restrictive influence of our physical and social indoctrination. Only by stepping free from our dense physical limits can we know the truth of ourselves and our universe. We will now get into anatomy. Do I want to read that? No, I'm going to take a break. Some of the New Age stuff, man. I don't know which is worse, listening to a bunch of Christians argue about Christianese stuff. Now, don't get me wrong. Talking about the Bible, I love. Discussing what's in the Bible, I love. Arguing about which doctrine or which sect you should need to belong to, right? Which cult you need to belong to, that's what's right, isn't it? Anyways. All peace and love to everyone who listens. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Very much.
You're going to try, go all the way. Otherwise, don't even start. If you're going to try, go all the way. This could mean losing girlfriends, wives, relatives, jobs, and maybe your mind.
Take me there. I won't break.